The Jaguar F-Type. Let's talk about it then. Engineered, built and designed in Britain, possibly the last proper hurrah to a great iconic British sports car. Let's jump in and give it a spin.
The winner is Car Right!
So let's address the elephant in the room. I don't think anyone with a brain could be stood in front of a Jaguar, at least having the conversation that we've all had over the last couple of years. Jaguar's rebrand has been pretty monumentally catastrophic, to be honest. They say no bad publicity or bad press is bad press. I think we can all disagree to that notion. In fact, what we have here, traditionally, in my opinion, is one of the greatest and last British sports cars. And yes, I know many of you are going to be screaming at me, McLaren, Aston Martin and Lotus. I think Aston Martin and McLaren are just too high of a tier, and the Emira was due to be the last naturally aspirated sports car they produced. They have just changed their tune over the last sort of 6 months with announcing a new Emira. But in terms of a mass-produced, pretty much like globe-trotting sports car, the F-Type was absolutely up there and sat right in its own. What we've got here is a brilliant piece of British engineering with the soundtrack and the looks to match. This car in every single angle is absolutely beautiful. If we came back to this video in 50 years time, this car would still look as sporty and as sleek and as elegant as it does now. Now, this actually is the sweet spot of design in my opinion, because in 2019 on towards 2020, they had the much newer facelift, so different front grills, bumpers and also the headlights. But it wasn't the newer F-Types where they actually cut the lights off across. It went from this to this. It just looked like a bit of a weird sleeping shark. I didn't like the design. I think this is the absolute perfect best of both. It is the R dynamic design, so you do get 20-inch wheels as standard, and I think this makes this car absolutely pop out. White in Yulong white. It is a metallic, but it is quite a pearlescent color. It's a beautiful looking car in this color contrast with the all-important black exterior design pack as well. This car's got about just under £6,500 of optional extras. We'll touch on those in a moment. But Alex, just take a good look around this car, because in every single angle, it is so beautifully well made. It's almost a bit of an art piece. You could park this in a museum or an art gallery or your living room. I think this would look really good somewhere in your house. I think the first thing everyone wants to do, apart from hearing me waffle on as much as I love the sound of my own voice, is to make some noise, because oh my God, does this V6 absolutely sing. So the interior then for the F-Type, I'm a really big fan. I love all of the sleek design and sportiness. The actual layout of the cabin and cockpit is really nice, specifically from a driver's point of view. It feels really engaging. It sort of wraps nicely around you. Everything's really focused right towards the dials, giving you the notion that this really is a driver's car and you're very well connected to this car. It has a load of spec as standard as you'd expect. This car, like I said, has got about £6,500 worth of optional extras. Comfort features to note, reverse camera. You've also got, because it's the facelift edition, a much newer navigation system which just sharpened it up a little bit. It feels a little bit less dated than the previous generations. Comfort access on the steering wheel, heated seats and steering wheel, so it's got a cold climate pack, reverse camera. As part of the dynamic pack that this car is, you get the active sports exhaust standard, and that makes such a nice difference. Meridian surround sound and also electric seats. Something I'm a really big fan of with the Jaguars is this. One more thing to go wrong, however, it's a really nice quirky feature. This thing on top, I have no idea what it is. I don't think it was from factory. It's there now, so we'll just leave that as it is. On the whole though, I'm a really big fan. The seating positioning is really nice. It is a little bit tight within the cabin, but sometimes when you're in a sports car like this, you kind of like it because it feels really nice, tight and engaging. You're very well connected, as I said. It has got some other driver feature aids, lane assist, etc. All your other creature comforts you need. But I'm a really big fan. Another big optional feature is the carbon fiber center trim here. Just tidies everything up. Again, just really emphasizes that it is a sports car. Really nice, sleek, sporty design on the interior. Alex's favorite feature for the test drive is going to be this. Many people call it the FM handle for when I'm driving at the sensible speed that I do. Alex can grip onto this for dear life. Apart from that, everything else is beautifully well presented. All the leather's nicely finished. Bolsters on the seat look good. There isn't a sign of any wear or fraying at all. This car has done just under 40,000 miles. But yeah, let's make some noise and give it a spin. So let's talk about this car then, and particularly what is under that very extravagant bonnet. Well, we have a 3-litre supercharged V6 producing 375 brake horsepower. 0 to 60 acclaimed is about 4.9, but traditionally in around 5 seconds. It is blisteringly hot today, so I don't think we'll struggle to get near to that. 171 mile an hour is the top speed, and it has an 8-speed gearbox that, just from being around and using this car very briefly, is brilliant. Both when you're in and around town, it's pretty comfortable, and because it's 8-speed on the motorway, it's nice and quiet. But the changes are absolutely rapid when you're really pushing this car. Weight for this is about 1,600 kilograms. The actual V8 version is about 100 kilograms heavier. Traditionally, the V8s were four-wheel drive, so there's a lot bit more weight with regards to the all-wheel drive system, but traditionally as well, the 8 is a lot heavier than the 6. There's about 40 kilograms less on the front end of the V6 than there is the V8, and you can definitely notice that when you're hammering these car around some bends. But we are just off to Mexico to say hello to the sheep, and we'll give this car a bit of a run down a straight line and see what she's got. So we're in dynamic mode, sports is also open. The sheep have gone away today, so we should have a clear run. We're gonna do a slight roll and pull, absolutely foot to the floor. The shifts are so quick, that ZF gearbox is amazing. My God, does that V6 sound good? Wow. Wow, 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 that is a very quick car. Don't really traditionally know why you'd even want the V8. Yes, you might get a little bit more aggression on the tone from the V8, but that's more than quick enough for the UK roads. That was electrifying, that car, and just absolutely howling. That V6 is so Moorish. I think we need to do that again, Alex. I think just in the notion of science. Did you use your FM handle?
Didn't use it.
You didn't use it?
No, I get it.
Wow. So we're under some twisty B roads now. Me and Alex are sacrificing ourselves because it's 32 degrees today. We've got no sunscreen on, but to have the roof up with this car is criminal. Let's open her up and see what she's got to offer on the B roads. The power delivery is good because it's a supercharger. There's little to no turbo lag, but obviously with it being a supercharged car, it really thanks you for working it right up to the higher RPM at 7,000 RPM. And my God, does that exhaust come alive. It's absolutely singing. The weight balance and distribution actually with two people in the car is 50-50. So Alex is actually doing me a favor by being sat in the passenger seat. It is very stiff and the car does skip around the road quite a bit with some of these hefty bumps and jumps we have, but the steering's really nice. It's very direct. You can throw the car right in. Because there's a bit of weight on the front end and there's not a lot too much on the rear end, it does tuck in quite nicely, but it does feel really balanced. Just a little bit of power on the exit at the bend and it just swings the back end tightly in. And you can have a lot of fun on some of these B roads. That was fun.
That was fast.
That was fast, actually.
Yeah.
I will say that. When we come over the bridge, that was pretty quick. This is, I said on the speed run, it's all great having, I think the V8's 440, I think. Yeah. But I just don't know, I just don't know as to when you'd even consider using it. Yes, if you're on a car tour heading across Germany, or you're doing the Autobahn or some big sort of runs down, you know, the motorways and stuff, but on a tight, twisty B road, 100 kilograms lighter, still an amazing, the crackles and snaps on change. Oh, it's just unbelievable. I'd really need to drive the V8. I haven't driven it in true, so it's difficult for me to compare, but I just can't facilitate why you need the extra power really to be transparent, because this car is just absolutely precisionally engineered for these roads. In fact, I'm just going to swap it in manual and I'm just going to drop a couple of the gears. Oh, yes, 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 and yes. You just cannot replace this with anything that goes whiz, whoosh, and hum. You just lose every ounce of what a car should be, and that is just, you're absolutely at one. You're so connected with a car like this. It's so visceral and engaging, and sometimes it's more than 0 to 60 times how quick the car goes around the Nürburgring or on a straight line in Sansapod. It's how a car makes you feel and what enjoyment you get out of it. And all I can say is every inch of hair on my body is currently stood on its nose. What more can you want out of a sports car? I don't think there's anything this car doesn't have to offer. I really don't. And it's such a shame, because the Emira is probably the last sports car England have produced. As we come on the brakes really hard there. The brakes actually was something I was going to mention. On light braking, they seem a little bit soft, but we stopped pretty quickly there, to be transparent. Let's talk about a couple of things I actually don't like with this car. The first one is something that actually Jaguar engineered to make quieter, and no, it isn't the car or the exhaust itself, but it is sort of the car. The supercharger, if you didn't say to anyone there's a supercharger on the car, they wouldn't know. Why? We need a good whine every now and again. And I think they are just lacking a little bit with that. And I mentioned on the roads there, the suspension is very stiff and it can be a bit skippy. Around town, it can be a little bit untoward and uncomfortable, but it is a sports car. And another thing I want to show to you is actually the boot. They may as well just done away with it. There's absolutely no room whatsoever in the boot. And you can opt to spare wheel in the boot as well, which is utterly pointless, because you can barely fit a pencil case in there. But apart from that, my God, I'm so smitten with this car. If you're after a performance car, F-Type seriously is something to consider. They just don't make them like this anymore, and I really think these prices are very stable in the market, and I specifically think some of these cars are going to start creeping and climbing, because you're just not going to get such an engaging drive like this anymore, unfortunately. That's the way that we're all heading, so let's just enjoy it whilst we can. So in some of our other videos, we have been doing boot tests. We also did a front test in a Porsche, which I actually managed to fit in. However, in this car, there is absolutely 0 point. You might get a small baby in there. That's about it. In fact, if you were to go away and took this car to the south of France, as I'm sure you might like to do if you had a beautiful convertible F-Type, you'd either have to leave your other half at home and have your suitcase on your seat, or have a very funkily weird designed suitcase. Now, I don't know if anyone does make those, but if they don't, there's a good business opportunity there for you. Let's wrap this up then, because I really do feel, without being very generic and all car journalism, what we've got here really is the end, not only to the Jaguar, because as we all know, they've going to be ceased to existing much longer. They are now Jaguar, if I think you guess you might know and understand what I'm on about there. But also, it really is the end to what I would describe as a proper British supercar. I know there's going to be people whinging at me in the comments. Yes, you've got BAC Mono, you've got Ultima, you've got Ariel, you've got Morgan. They're not proper, more generic, mass-sold, world-conquering sports cars. They're very individual, unique and bespoke cars. This really traditionally is the proper last one. Yes, I know we highlighted also Lotus and the Emira, but I really think what we've got here is the last of a proper generation, a proper breed, and the end of an era. And for me, that makes this car super special. It is on sale within the business now, 35,995. It's done 32,000 miles with a full service history. It is a beautiful example, and I honestly just cannot stop looking at it, or listening to it, or driving it, actually, all of the above. On that note, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please like, comment and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next video.